Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students of grade 9 at the Innovators International Academy, today, miss, we are going to take the second reading text about the Red Crescent. Now we are reading from the student book, page 54. Again, miss, the title of our text is The Red Crescent. Crescent تاسع اللي هو الهلال، فعنوان درسي عن الهلال الأحمر. Let's start reading. In 1877, the Ottoman Empire went to the war with Russia. The medics who took care of the wounded soldiers on the Russian side marked their ambulances with a red cross. This was a symbol used by all countries to protect medics during battles. However, the cross reminded the Ottoman Empire of previous wars against soldiers carrying a similar flag. So the Ottoman officials used a red crescent to mark their ambulances instead. Sometime later, other Muslim countries accepted this symbol, and it was formally adopted in 1929. So far, 33 Islamic countries have recognized the red crescent. طيب. In 1877, the Ottoman Empire, الإمبراطورية الرومانية, they went to war with Russia. كانوا بحرب مع روسيا. انتبهي تاسع إنه أنا في عندي the Ottoman Empire and Russia. التنتين في عندي proper nouns because they are names of countries. So there was a war between the Ottomans and the Russians. Now the medics who took care of the wounded soldiers on the Russian side marked their ambulances with a red cross. Medics are people or persons who help the soldiers in wars with the first aid اللي هم كانوا المسعفين اللي بيساعدوا الجنود الجرحى بتقديم الإسعافات الأولية. So the medics who took care of the wounded soldiers, wounded جرحى أو the hurt soldiers on the Russian side, they marked their ambulances. كانوا بيعلموا يعني بيضعوا علامة على سيارات الإسعاف with a red cross اللي هي كانت هاي العلامة الصليب الأحمر. فأنا في عندي هنا إحنا بنحكي عن اللي هم الجنود الروسيين. فكان عندي المسعفين الروسيين كانوا بيعلموا سيارات الإسعاف أو بيميزوها بوضع علامة الهلال الصليب الأحمر عفوا. Now this was the symbol used by all the countries to protect medics during the battles. Symbol is a shape that represents something. هو عبارة عن رمز. فهاي الإشارة كانت رمز بيستخدموها البلدان حتى يحموا المسعفين. يعني كان هذا دليل إنه هاي السيارة فيها مسعفين. فدي we want to protect them لأنهم بيكونوا مش جزء من الحرب. Now, however, the cross reminded the Ottoman Empire of previous wars against soldiers carrying a similar flag. الآن هذا الصليب it reminded the Ottoman ذكر أو كان بذكر العثمانيين of previous wars. previous تاسع يعني سابقة. كان بذكرهم بالحروب السابقة ضد الجنود اللي كانوا بيحملوا أعلام عليها نفس الرمز اللي هو الصليب الأحمر. So the Ottoman officials used a red crescent to mark their ambulances instead. إجوا الموظفين أو المسؤولين العثمانيين they used a red crescent. استخدموا الهلال الأحمر كبديل عن الصليب الأحمر لتعليم أو تمييز سيارات الإسعاف. Now, sometime later, other Muslim countries accepted this symbol, and it was formally هنا عندي it refers to the red crescent. It was formally adopted. هاي الإشارة it was formally adopted يعني it was accepted. تم قبول هذا الرمز أو تم الاعتراف فيه in 1929. Now, so far, 33 Islamic countries have recognized اعترفوا بالRed Crescent as a mark of their ambulances. طيب. Let's move to the second paragraph. The Red Crescent Society is part of the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies. This is a huge organization that has 97 million members and volunteers and supporters in 187 national societies. Red Crescent societies are important to the International Federation as they have developed guidelines that include non-Western traditions. So تاسع the Red Crescent Society مجتمع الهلال الأحمر is part of International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies. فأنا الهلال الأحمر هو عبارة عن جزء من اتحاد عالمي. هذا الاتحاد العالمي في مجتمعات الهلال الأحمر والصليب الأحمر. Now this is a huge organization يعني منظمة in which we have many people who have the same purpose. بيكون في عندي مجموعة ناس إلهم نفس الأهداف ونفس الرؤية. Now this is a huge organization that has 97 million members أعضاء and volunteers متطوعين أو the unpaid workers and supporters داعمين. فهاي المنظمة بتحتوي على عدد كبير من المتطوعين الأعضاء والداعمين in 187 national societies. Now, Red Crescent societies are important to the International Federation as they have developed guidelines. And the Red Crescent is important to the Federation, the International Federation, because they have developed يعني they came up with the guidelines. يعني إنهم هم إجوا بفكرة جديدة أو اخترعوا فكرة جديدة. guidelines يعني مبادئ that include non-Western tradition كانت تحتوي مبادئهم على تقاليد أو مبادئ بعيدة عن مبادئ الغرب أو غير غربية. Now the third paragraph. Today the Red Crescent is very important responding to disasters such as earthquakes or fires, as well as providing aid to developing countries. A key principle of the organization when providing the aid is neutrality. Red Crescent volunteers work to prevent suffering for everyone, regardless of nationality, race, religion, or gender. Now today, the Red Crescent is important in responding to disasters like earthquakes or fires. فأنا في عندي their role دورهم ما بيقتصر على الحروب وإنما they respond to disasters بيستجيبوا للناس اللي بيحتاجوا لمساعدة disasters يعني الكوارث such as the earthquakes مثل الهزات الأرضية and fires والحرائق. Now as well as and providing aid to developing countries. Providing يعني تقديم giving the help to developing countries اللي هي البلدان النامية. Now a key principle تاسع يعني main idea مبدأ رئيسي أو فكرة رئيسية. هنا في عندي key اللي هي معنى main رئيسي of the organization المبدأ الرئيسي لهاي المنظمة when giving the aid the help is neutrality. لأن neutrality تاسع هو المبدأ الرئيسي لجمعيات الهلال الأحمر وهي معناها not being with one side and against the other side بمعنى الحيادية. فالمبدأ الرئيسي عندهم هو الحيادية بمعنى إنه مساعدة الآخرين بغض النظر عن توجهاتهم. So the Red Crescent volunteers work to prevent means to stop suffering معاناة الآخرين for everyone regardless بغض النظر of the nationality, race, religion, gender. فهم بيقدموا المساعدة أو عملهم أو مهمتهم إنهم يوقفوا المعاناة لكل الناس بغض النظر عن الناشناليتي جنسيتهم race عرقهم religion ديانتهم or the gender اللي هو جنسهم سواء ذكر أو أنثى. طيب now we have exercise 4 في عندي تحت النص what do these relative pronouns refer to. ارجعي تاسع للأسطر واقرأي الجملة قبل ما تجاوبي. Now we have who in line 1 which refers to the medics. We have that in line 10 اللي بترجع للorganization. We have that in line 12 which refers to the guidelines. Now let's move to the booklet page 13. في عندي هون تاسع كالعادة جدول المعاني. الآن بدي أركز على المعاني اللي ما ذكرت عنا بالنص. رح نيجي هون في عنا sensible اللي رح تتذكر عنا بالwork book أو الactivity book. الآن sensible means showing a good sense of judgment، يعني منطقي أو بمعنى أنه له هدف رئيسي أو سبب مقنع. We have the word wasteful. Wasteful means using more money, time or effort than needed. استخدام أو استهلاك المال أو الوقت أو الجهد أكثر من اللي بنحتاجه. طيب, now we have these sentences. We have to fill in the blanks with the suitable word from the table. Let's start with number 1. Some in our city started a campaign حملة to help poor people. Now here the answer will be volunteers. Now in number 2, the try to provide the first aid to soldiers. حكينا إنه to provide the first aid to soldiers كانت مهمة the medics. Number 3, it is good to wars in the world and make it a peaceful place. Peaceful يعني مكان مسالم without wars to live in. So it is good to prevent wars, to stop wars. And number 4, the opposite of effective. إذا بتتذكري تاسع لما أخذنا كلمة effective حكينا اللي هي to work without spending money, time or effort more than needed. هنا كانت في عندي the opposite of wasteful. طيب, let's move now to number 2. Circle the correct answers. Number 1, the guidelines, the medics or the wounded were trained to treat patients. الآن في عندي هنا كلمة treat بمعنى معالجة، فهم كانوا مدربين لمعالجة المرضى. مع إنه عندي اللي هي معالجة المرضى فأكيد ما رح تكون عندي wounded، رح يكون في عندي medics. طبعا guidelines هي جواب غير منطقي على الجملة. Number 2, they had to make a هنا لازم تكون عندي make. They had to make a prevent wasteful or sensible decision whether the man was innocent or guilty, and the answer is sensible decisions. يعني رح يعملوا اللي هو قرار منطقي أو قرار مدروس whether the man is or was innocent or guilty. إذا كان هذا الرجل innocent بريء or guilty مذنب. Number 3, the principle neutrality volunteering was essential when judging الحكم who was right and who was wrong. إنه مين الصح ومين الخطأ among the fighting groups ما بين المجموعات المتقاتلة، فهون رح تكون عندي neutrality. طيب, now let's move to the booklet, page 14. After reading the text, the Red Crescent in page 54 answer the following questions. Number 1, how were the Russian ambulances vehicles marked and why did they use that mark? Now we said that it was marked by the Red Cross. Now why did they use it? They use it to by some countries to protect the medics in the battle. لحماية المسعفين. Number 2, why didn't the Ottomans use the cross as a mark on their ambulances? يعني why did they choose to mark their ambulances using the crescent instead of the cross? We said that because it reminded them of the previous wars against the soldiers carrying similar flags. Number 3, is the Red Crescent's role limited to the wars? Limited تاسع يعني مقتصر. هل دورهم كان مقتصر على الحروب? And explain. Now we said that it wasn't limited to the wars. They also help in disasters بالكوارث like the earthquakes and fire, and they provide aid to developing countries. بيقدموا المساعدة للبلدان النامية. Number 4, what is the main principle of the Red Crescent organization and explain it? Now we said that the main principle or the key principle is neutrality. Now let's explain it, that the volunteers work to prevent suffering إيقاف معاناة الناس for everyone regardless nationality, race, religion or gender بغض النظر عن الاختلافات بين الناس اللي بدهم يساعدوهم. Number 5 and the last question, which of the following sentences is true according to the text? Number 1, Red Crescent volunteers work and the suffering of the Muslims only. لأن كان عملهم أو مهمتهم is to end the suffering of Muslims، إنهم ينهوا المعاناة فقط للمسلمين. B, as a part of the neutrality principle, Red Cross and Red Crescent members help people regardless their differences، بيساعدوهم بغض النظر عن اختلافاتهم كجزء من مبدأ النيوتراليتي أو الحيادية. And C, few Islamic countries have recognized the Red Crescent sign، فقط القليل من البلدان اعترفوا اللي هو رمز الهلال الأحمر. طبعا the one that is correct is B. خلينا نشوف A. A is wrong because their role أو their work is to end suffering for everyone، ما كانت بس على المسلمين، وحكينا إنه they help other people regardless their religion، بغض النظر عن ديانتهم. And we have C, not only few Islamic countries have recognized the Red Crescent, but many countries، حكينا كان في عندي 33 Islamic countries recognize the Red Crescent sign. So Tasa, that was the end of our class today. Thank you for watching and have a good day.